Hello everyone, welcome back to the MOOCs course on Advanced Analytical Technique. And in this week, as we are discussing about molecular luminescence spectroscopy, and in the previous lecture, I have explained you about the instrumentation of spectrophotometers, where I have shown you a flow sheet and discussed about how light radiation is being passed through the monochromator called as excitation monochromator, then interacts with the sample, again passes through a monochromator and falls on the detector for detection and creation of spectrum. So we have discussed about the uh, how a spectrum is generated in a spectrophotometer. In today's lecture, we'll discuss about the individual components in more details. We will start this discussion with the light source. So, various light sources can be used in spectrophotometers. So, we have a flexibility of using different light sources. We generally use mercury lamp. In the past, we quite frequently use these mercury lamps, but at present, these mercury lamps have been replaced with some other sort of lamps like the xenon lamps. Anyway, I will discuss this mercury lamp here. These mercury lamps works like our sodium lamp, which you might have seen on streets few years back or even a decade back, where we have lamps that are placed on poles of streets. These lamps are of this particular shape and they have bright yellow light. They generate bright yellow light. These are sodium lamp. They created light by electric discharge between the two electrodes, which creates high temperature, and the sodium atoms that are present here, they are vaporized, they are ionized, emitting light radiation of yellow color. The same concept is used for mercury lamp. In these lamps as well, they are also based on gas discharge lamp, which uses electric arc through vaporized mercury to generate light. Means they have a transparent glass or quartz covering where we have two electrodes. In between two electrodes, an electric arc is created, and this chamber is filled with mercury, which is vaporized very easily. And once the electric arc is created, the temperature goes up and this mercury is transformed into vaporized state and it generates light. These mercury lamps are also used in street lights, just like our sodium lamps, in gyms and even in sports clubs in the past. Now we have some other lamps which are even more bright that we used at these places. So in the past we use these mercury lamps or even sodium lamps for street lighting. The arc is discharged, as I said, in a small quartz tube. So this is a small quartz tube where two electrodes are there, and these electrodes cathode and these electrodes cathode and anode are made of tungsten. So in between these two tungsten electrode, an electric arc is created which increases the temperature, thereby vaporizing the mercury atoms into a gas, and that's why they are called as gas discharge lamp. When the mercury vaporizes to form a gas, it discharges light. So the arc is discharged in a small quartz tube placed in a large soda lime or borosilicate glass tube. Because high temperature is created which cannot be sustained by a normal glass tube, therefore we have an inner tube that is made of glass. Therefore we have an inner tube which is made of quartz, because quartz is very, very costly. If we make the whole uh, lamp of quartz, it will increase the cost. Therefore a small tube is used which is made of quartz because it can sustain high temperature, and then this small tube is placed inside a large tube which is made of borosilicate glass or even soda lime glass, which is of a bit lower quality, can be used. But they are these glasses, borosilicate glass or soda glass, are protected because of the presence of a quartz tube inside, because the actual reaction is taking place here and the light is emitted from this quartz tube as well. These borosilicate or soda lime glass are used just to protect this quartz tube. However, the intensity of these mercury lamp is quite low, just ranging from 35 to 55 lumen per watt. Lumen is the unit of intensity of light being emitted, or it is a unit of luminosity. It is the unit of luminosity, which is basically the intensity of visible light emitted per watt of the lamp. So the intensity of the visible light that is being emitted for every watt, or the intensity of light emitted per watt of the lamp. Therefore, it is represented as lumen per watt. So these lamps have very low luminosity, which is only 35 to 55 lumens per watt, quite low as compared to xenon lamps there, and that is why these lamps are obsolete now. They are no longer used in spectrophotometers. This is the schematic diagram, and this is a schematic diagram of mercury lamp, and this is an actual figure of a mercury lamp. Here you can see they are emitting a greenish white line. They are Here you can see they are emitting a greenish bright light, emitting greenish bright light, and this is the inner tube which is made of quartz. This one is the outer tube which is made of borosilicate glass or soda lime glass, and two electrodes are placed in the inner tube made of quartz. These are the two electrodes, which are the main electrodes made of tungsten. Here we have in the outer tube vacuum. We create vacuum in this outer tube, and when electric arc is created, the mercury atoms that are present here, they undergo vaporization and they start emitting light, emitting light by vaporized Hg atom, mercury atoms, and that is why they are called as gas discharge lamps. This is the input supply. Then comes the xenon lamps. And in case of xenon lamps, we have two categories. We have xenon arc lamps as well as xenon flash lamps. Flash lamps gives a flash only. Just for a second, they create bright light, while arc creates light, while arcs create bright light for a longer period. They basically create continuous white and bright light, while flash lamps made of xenon, while xenon flash lamps create only a momentary bright light. A xenon lamp, they basically works on the same they basically works on the same principle. They also uses electric discharge through xenon gas instead of mercury in vaporized form. They also have two electrodes which are made of tungsten. These two electrodes are also made of tungsten, and when they are connected to input power source and switch is on, there is an arc created in between these two electrodes, and since this tube, which is of quartz, is filled with xenon gas, it immediately causes ionization of the xenon gas, resulting into light. So this xenon gas undergo ionization, producing light. They cover the spectrum 300 to 800 nanometer. As I said while I was discussing about the light source in this schematic diagram showing working principle of a spectrophotometer. I told you that in case of UV, we use hydrogen lamp, deuterium lamp, or for visible light, we use tungsten filament lamp. But in case of these lamps that are being used for spectrophotometers, the xenon lamps covers quite wide range of light radiation from 300 till 800 nanometers, means they cover some UV region as well and the whole of visible region, and they produce very bright light as compared to mercury lamps. They have very high luminosity as compared to their counterparts, means the mercury lamps. They produce bright white light which which imitate our sunlight. The light that is being produced, it looks like we are in daylight, and this white light, since it is very bright, uh, just like sunlight, these xenon lamps are also used in movie projectors in theaters. So you all have gone through a movie theater and you have seen movie on a big screen, and in a movie theater, if you just look back, and there are two holes created on the opposite wall of the screen. From there the light is being reflected, from a light is being passed, and you might have observed those holes that are on the opposite side of, you might have seen those holes that are placed on the opposite wall of the screen, through which light is passed and light is focused upon the screen. So that light used in movie theaters is through a xenon lamp, that is white, that is bright white light. So that is based on xenon lamps. Their luminosity is quite high, while in case of mercury, it ranges from 35 to 55 lumen per watt. In this case, we have from 60 to 120, more than doubled the intensity of the light, or the luminosity of xenon arc lamp is almost doubled than the mercury lamps. This is a diagram of a xenon lamp. This is our quartz envelope. We have anode, cathode. This is also tungsten. This is also tungsten. When electric discharge, when electric current, when electric voltage is applied, an arc is created which causes the xenon gas filled in this quartz tube to ionize, producing a bright white light. They also produces bright light, but the intensity of this bright light is low. Their intensity is a bit low as compared to our xenon lamps. Then comes the xenon flash lamp. As I said, xenon lamps are of two types. The first is called as xenon arc lamp, which provides a continuous bright light. The other category is the xenon flash lamp, which produces a momentary bright light only, just for few seconds or even less than a second. So xenon flash lamps, they generate light radiation with an instantaneously high peak output, means their intensity is high, their luminosity is very high, but they provide light, but they produces light for a very short duration, even in some cases less than a second. Clear? Just like we have flash from a camera. And since that flash exists for a very short time, just for an instant only, it is a momentary flash, it is a momentary existence of the light, therefore its intensity is very high. Because if we provide the same intensity that is being provided by a continuous light source, just like xenon arc lamp, but in this case, although the intensity is same, but the existence is for a very short period, it will not create necessary intensity of light which is needed for the fluorescence phenomena to occur. And therefore, since its existence is for a very short time, the intensity or the luminosity of these lamps is very high. So they emit light radiation. So the light emitted is a continuum. This continuum does not mean they provide continuous light. They don't provide continuous light. This continuum means they covers the UV as well as visible, and they go up to IR region. Means the light that is being emitted by this flash lamp, it covers UV region, visible region and IR region. A very wide wavelength range is being covered. They just provide a continuum of light radiation which covers an entire UV, visible and IR radiation, that covers the entire UV, visible and IR regions. Although the light exists for a very short period of time, they are used in chemical analysis as well as imaging. Means when we are studying some biological samples, some live cells, even these phenomena can be used when we have some fluorescent compounds that are used as a tag, and we put those tags into the proteins, and then those proteins, when they are illuminated, when they are seen in presence of these lamps, they illuminate inside the body in the veins. In this way doctors can identify the infected parts or the infected regions or the infected proteins, and the analysis can be, a detailed analysis can be done. Luminosity is higher than the xenon arc lamps. So these are of this type. Quite narrow tube is there, and we have two electrodes. Again, these electrodes are made up of tungsten, while these are connected to the power source. When the power switch is on, electric voltage is applied and a bright momentary light is generated, which causes excitation of the analyte molecules in the sample. And when the electrons are excited, upon absorption of this light and they return back, they emit light radiation that are being detected to complete the phenomena of, to complete the spectroscopic analysis and to study about the sample in detail, to study about the sample in detail. Both quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis can be done. This is an image of a this is an image of a xenon flash lamp when it is not illuminating, means when it is not connected to the power source. We have a quartz tube, we have two electrodes that are very close to each other. They create very high power over here, very high voltage is created, high voltage, very high voltage is applied, and a flash of high intensity is generated, covering entire UV, visible and IR regions, covering UV, visible and IR regions. So we'll keep our discussion till the light sources only, and in the next class we'll discuss about the monochromators, and then we'll move on to the detectors that are being used in spectrophotometers, means the photomultiplier tubes and the solid state array detectors. Thank you very much.